Hello everybody, it is the me, Game Penguin 21, and today. Alright, well, I think that we need some wind down videos for this, because I talked about the Pal World drama, I also talked about the last weeks in sorts of other stuff, but today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Now, I've been trying to make videos that I can post at any time because of the way that I post and upload these things, but this one is a very interesting video that I happen to have come across. I'm not sure if I've covered this before. I might have, but if I haven't yet, this one is on the PlayStation VR1 and why apparently in 2024, yes, the current year, it is better to buy one. Now, for those of you who may or may not know, the different options out there for VR hardware seems to be things such as standalone. There is only really one console version of a VR headset, and then there is the PC, which probably has the most options out of all of them. Now again, granted, the PC one does tend to be the most expensive, but you get the most features out of it, for the most part. We'll get into that in the nitty-gritty in a little bit, but you don't really need to know too much about this whole thing. But right now, I think I just need to see what this is and how this operates. Again, if I've covered this before, that sucks because I don't know if I'm gonna have to rehash a competition. But if I haven't covered it, which I don't think that I have, this is gonna be fun. So without further ado, if you please would want to support me, hit that like button, subscribe, and do that all this stuff, and follow me down below if you really want to. But let's get started with this.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's your boy Optich here. Now, we are going to be talking about why it is the perfect time to grab the PlayStation VR1. We are going to compare it with the VR options like the MetaQuest 3 and the PSVR2, so let's get into it. First up, the PSVR1 is a very good price at the moment. If you look on eBay or Facebook Marketplace listings, you can find it easily for under $100, and that's what I personally did when I got it recently, and I had a blast with it. Sometimes you also find bundles which includes games with it, which is much more of a better value, and honestly, for $100 you cannot go wrong.
Now, I have to stop right there because he's not going to necessarily go into the nitty gritty of this, but I will. Why is it that the PSVR 1 actually is kind of ass? And I do say kind of because it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's not the worst. Well, see, the thing with the PSVR 1 is that it does have a lot of growing pains to it. This was during a time when VR hardware wasn't at its most advanced as it was today, and when the PSVR 1 was originally released, that actually wasn't the greatest in terms of stuff. Because one of, if not the biggest things here, is the sheer fact that this thing uses old hardware. And I'm not saying like, oh, it's like last year's hardware stuff. No, I think this thing was released during the PS4 era and was using hardware that was outdated during the PS3 era, which should show you how much of this is just bad. Now, again, how exactly is this specifically tracked? Well, it's tracked using a PSVR, like its own camera thing, and it's tracked using these glowing balls and glowing things on the actual headset itself, which unfortunately means it doesn't have full 360-degree room scale type motion. You have to be sitting in a specific spot, and you only have about 180 to 190-ish movement in like 2 ways. And that's it. I don't know how this is better than, say, a Quest, which has its own proprietary games on it that you can play fully and very cleanly on its own with mixed reality functions, but I mean, go off, I guess.
for this VR experience. So that's right, you're just not getting the headset, but a handful of games for that price range. You can also look on PS Plus. If you had a PS Plus membership for a while, you've probably been saving a lot of PSVR games in your library. For example, like Minecraft was something that I didn't know is also VR compatible, as well as Hitman 3. These are some games that you can replay with virtual reality, so it's a little bit more of a different experience, and you can have a lot of fun playing those games and revisiting those games that you once already played. Now, you might be wondering how it works with the PS5, and all you really need is an adapter, which you can get from free. You get for free, claiming it from the PlayStation's official website, or you can get it on Amazon for about $10. It's a pretty affordable way compared to buying the $400 PSVR2 with the eye tracking capabilities. But that makes the PS
Again, he's not entirely wrong. There is a good budget-friendly option there, but I would say for about that same price of, I think, $100-ish, you can, I think, get a Quest 2, or maybe not even a Quest 2, maybe a Quest 1, but maybe a Quest 2, unsure, because those ones might be a little bit more expensive, but you could probably get both of those and not even need to be in the PlayStation sphere, because let's say you do not actually own a PlayStation or a PlayStation 5. That sucks because you can't get it. Also, notice how he said that you have to also get an adapter. Yes, like I said before, this was actually made during the PS4-ish era, meaning that it works and is compatible with PS4. But if you don't own a PS4 and you own a PS5, you need to get an adapter for it. And that adapter costs money, like you just said. So this is a bigger purchase than you might initially think. And yes, certainly $10, and maybe not if you're going for VR hardware stuff, absolutely is like small potatoes. But still, that is super weird that he recommends this thing that requires an additional purchase or an additional thing or object to work with the hardware that he wants to play with it. Like, I don't get why this is a recommendation. Just because it's cheap doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. I mean, again, there's a lot of things out there that are cheap, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best out there. But I guess we can continue here.
PSVR1 an incredibly budget-friendly option if you're a fan of the PlayStation ecosystem and still love hunting for trophies and playing VR, but just not on like a PC. You could do it all from your PS4 or your PS5 console. So why should you pick up a PSVR1 over all the other options? Well, despite it being slightly older technology as it was released back when the PS4 Pro came out, it's got some great games that makes it worth every single dollar you put into it. So we can dive into the experiences like Batman Arkham VR, which I played just yesterday. It was a lot of fun. It was a pretty short experience, but still a lot of fun as you can step in the shoes of the Dark Knight, or trying Firewall Zero Hero if you like first-person shooters. It's a tactical shooter game that delivers intense multiplayer action as well as offline missions alongside of that. And don't miss out, of course, Blood and Truth. This is one of the most immersive PSVR games for at least the PSVR1, that is. It's very action-packed.
Again, while those three games are pretty impressive, I guess, again, the only two that are there are the last two that he said that were actually exclusives. The Batman Arkham one is actually available on PC and is more of like a tech demo. And the newest Batman VR experience that will be coming out eventually is not good there. It's funny to me how, again, he's recommending this thing and saying that, like, yeah, this is older technology, but it's so much more worth it because it's cheaper. Like, I don't get why specifically. Like, this technology, like I said before, was old and kind of outdated when it came out. That's the thing. By the time that this actually hit the market, by the way, there was people like Oculus that were still kind of making full 360 degrees stuff. They were coming out with a bunch of like the standalone stuff, which has its own headsets and other things like that. And in this context, this thing isn't good. It doesn't have good hardware specs. It doesn't have good immersive specs. It doesn't even have a lot of games that you can really do with it if you're just doing the PS5 thing. But notice how I just said he is just doing it on the PS5 thing right now. We'll get into why in a little bit, but overall, I don't recommend this because it's just too old and too outdated for what you might want for VR stuff. I would recommend a Quest over this thing, and that thing, I don't usually recommend that.
Adventure that showcases just what the PSVR1 can do and is capable of. Now, these games are exclusives to the PSVR and really shine on the platform, making it a worthwhile investment if you're looking to experience the unique VR experience on a PlayStation console. Now, if we compare the PSVR1 to its competitor, I guess you could call the Meta Quest 3. The Quest 3 definitely has more advanced hardware. It's got that cutting edge specs and higher price tag. While it's a fantastic option for VR for PC enthusiasts looking for the latest technology, the PSVR 1 remains a more affordable choice and a lot of fun for those players that
I love this. This is such a stupid point for where he says, "Oh, this Meta Quest is for the PC VR enthusiasts." It's really not, and let me explain to you why. One of the biggest reasons why this is not even remotely one of the things that a lot of PC VR enthusiasts, quote unquote, will actually want to buy is because it's its own standalone thing. And yeah, certainly there are ways and methods to make it work with the PC, but this thing in and of itself is its own standalone product. You don't need a PC for it. For the Quest 2, 3, or whatever, you don't need a PC for it. You don't need to set up anything. You just need your phone, and that's it. I brought this up earlier, and it has some of that latest technology and the higher price tag because it's meant for it. But this is more of a regular mass-marketed thing. He also brought up on that screen before the Valve Index, which I would argue is far, far more of an actual PC VR enthusiast level headsets, kind of. It's at, again, around $1,000 to $1,500. It really depends on what model you get or if you get the full kit or some of the kit stuff. But that right there to me is more or less the actual PC VR enthusiast-ish level thing. It's bordering on that line there between the two. But there is like the Meta Quest Pro, which also I would argue is even more so, being more expensive, but still being a standalone headset. For under $100 with this PC, with this PSVR 1 thing, you're really only getting it for the console. And that's assuming the person has the PlayStation console in the first place. And again, it's also assuming that it has the adapter and stuff in the first place to do that. You're just not getting why these ones are more expensive and why having this isn't good. Again, I went over the specs earlier, but this thing has the worst specs. This thing does not have any of the current modern day functions of a VR headset. This thing is outdated and kind of old. And I would argue that even at the time, it was not worth it to buy this because it was using, again, older, outdated technology that was outdated during the PS3 era. So that should show you how bad of a purchase this actually is. And the dude there listed off only about 3-ish games. You're most likely not going to even be able to play any of the newer games on the PlayStation 5 if you want to get it for that. Because the PSVR 2 games and the PSVR 1 games are non-compatible with each other. So you can see the reason why you probably shouldn't buy this thing. Right?
still want to play PlayStation games on their VR without spending too much money. Now, on the other hand, the PSVR2 offers amazing features like eye tracking, for example, and enhanced graphical work and fidelity with it, but that's like near $400 and it's only compatible with the PS5, so you want to keep that in
We'll
mind.
also say this, there is a quick little update that this guy did not even think about, but the PSVR 2 is now fully compatible with the PC, or at least as far as I can tell. You can get the PC VR adapter for around $60, and I would say that that's actually, again, a far better investment because this thing has a lot more modern functions. It uses more modernized tracking hardware. It uses more modernized control schemes and has its triggers and other stuff. And yeah, again, there is still things that are incompatible with the PC VR headspace, mainly the eye tracking, which fucking that hurts the soul. But at the same time, again, saying that it's only compatible with the PSVR, the PlayStation is incorrect. It's actually compatible with the PlayStation and the PC now thanks to this adapter. So, yeah, you might not even need the adapter because they used like a thing with like a specific PC card, like a specific card that you plug it in. So you might not even need the adapter. It depends. You'd have to look it up specifically for that. But again, for the $400, you get more modern stuff, such as tracking your eyes and, the actual improved and correctly tracked and fully realized hand track controllers, as well as so many other features that, again, having that initial just the $100, like under $100 purchase, again, to me doesn't make any sense because the tracking's out of date. The camera you can't really buy and you can't really fix it anymore. You can't really get it good anymore. It's not good enough. It's not good if you're trying to go for a better experience. It will not give you a good experience, even on the budget side, in my opinion.
Especially if you are on the budget side of things. Now, in my personal opinion, I wanted to try the PSVR1 before I even went and thought about purchasing a PSVR2. I know that there still are a lot of enthusiasts out there that use their PSVR2 on PC. Some people say that it's not the best compatible with the PC because you need certain adapters with it and it just doesn't work as great as like the Meta Quest, for example, or the Oculus headsets.
Yes, and again, that is very, very true because Meta and Oculus do make some pretty okay adaptability to the PC, to that context. But at the same time, again, this has more or less been solved because the reason why people were upset that the PSVR 2 wasn't as compatible is because Sony was a fucking dumbass and didn't release the PC adapter, which they have now, by the way. It might not be the greatest for now, but from what I've seen, people have been, actively liking it and, actively using it on the PC. So, again, slightly outdated information, but at the same time.
People prefer those over the PSVR if you're playing on the PC, but as long as you are a PlayStation gamer like myself, you like that ecosystem, you like the experience, the PSVR1 is a great option for you. Now, so if you're still on the fence of VR or looking for an affordable entry point, the PSVR1 is a fantastic option. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think about the PSVR1. Have you ever tried it before? And after this video, does it make you want to try it? Because definitely, I would say it's worth a try purchasing it for like a low risk under $100. You can get a couple games with it. You can even get the original packaging box, all for a very great.
Again, granted that you need the PS5 adapter for the PlayStation VR1. Again, he goes on to really say not much other than that and just does his outro stuff. So I'm going to end the video specifically there. Now, to conclude with this, again, I am what I would say more informed about PSVR than I think he is. And again, yeah, certainly, there is certain parts of the PSVR1 that might be good if you look at it in a vacuum, but when you compare it to the other options on the market, no. Again, I think for around the same $100 price tag, at least for right now, you can get a Meta Quest 1. A Meta Quest 1 might not be the most powerful, but it again has more slightly modernized hardware, but again, still not as powerful. and has the capabilities of doing PC VR, and also has the capabilities of doing standalone stuff. So you don't even need a PC or a PlayStation VR or a PlayStation at all. Just like, again, the Meta Quest. I don't know if it's still able to be like updated significantly, but again, if you're looking for stuff around the same price point, when you can get one that's literally its own device without anything else, I would argue that that's far better than anything the PSVR1 can offer you, even today. Because again, the PSVR1 uses tracking technology that is out of date, using cameras and stuff that don't work half the time, uses oldest, outdated technology that sucked when it came out in the PS3 time, because they literally just repurposed the PSVR Move stuff, and it doesn't have any of the modernized functions for it. And yes, absolutely, if under $100, it's really good. It's really good for that price point. Again, you can probably get even more value out of it if you just do a little bit of shopping. Like I said, I'm fairly certain you can get a Meta Quest 1, the original Meta Quest, for that price point. Heck, you could probably even get the the Oculus Rift stuff for under that price point as well, which still offers a lot of really good functions and is still fine. You can probably even get like the Windows Mixed Reality, which has a lot of functionality to that as well. And again, there's a lot of other options, but I wouldn't immediately jump to a PSVR1 because it wasn't good even when it came out. Just because it has a good price point to it doesn't necessarily mean that the price that you're getting and what you're getting out of it is better. Again, if you're going to go into a VR space, you need to monitor all of the pros and cons here. And honestly, no. The PSVR1 is most certainly not worth it in any real capacity if you legitimately look at specs-wise or anything like that. But that's, again, probably just my own personal opinion. Overall, I can't really control what you do with your money. I just wanted to talk about this video and kind of roast some of the opinions here, because it's insane to me how much this actually, this person is solely convinced that this is like a great purchase, despite the fact that there's so many drawbacks. It's probably not even worth the price of the $100 in the first place. But, in any case, I think that'll about do it for me yapping into this microphone for a bit. If you like what it is that I do and want to support me in other ways, shapes, or form, other than a like and subscribe, which is always appreciated, links down to everything in the description below. I might be starting to dig through some of the old files that I have and starting to post onto things like the Ko-fi and the Patreon if you want to get some little bits of extra content. This stuff won't actually be on the main channel or anything. Stuff that I just happen to have and half-finished videos and things just don't really end up working. But if you want that, go check that out if that's offered. In any case, that'll, again, about do it. My name is GamePenguin21, and a peace off.
Hey man.